and any reaction?
I can't tell
Or what
you.
did it mean to you?
It meant that Israel is Israel now. It's not Palestine no more. It doesn't belong to anything. It's by itself. It's a land and it's a country that has a name, and that's a Jewish state. We have where to go.
Did Feldafing celebrate?
Oh yeah, we had a big celebration. A
Do you
big
remember? Do you remember what it looked like? Was it outside?
Outside. You couldn't get a hall big enough to have for everybody. Outside, they were in front of the committee. They were dancing and they were singing and there's music playing. And it was balloons and there were screams and there were, for happiness. Everybody hugged each other. It was a celebration.
Okay. Now, did you try to go to Israel, or did you decide to go to America?
No, I wanted to go to Israel because all my cousins went to Israel that I survived with. So I wanted to go to Israel, but my husband had family here.
Right.
And he says, no, I want to have at least where my roots are. He had here 2 uncles,
Right.
so he wanted to go to America.
So when did you
Then,
decide to come to America?
To America we decided in 48, really, because that time I wanted to go to Israel. And my husband said, no, he's going to a family. At least he should belong to somebody. That somebody is, But I was always to go to Israel. I wanted to go to Israel.
So just how did you get to America? Who helped you to get here?
Well, yes.
Hayes helped you?
Yes, sure.
And when did you came by boat?
No, of course.
Some people came by plane if they were...
Some people came by plane if they're pregnant.
Right, you
Or
came
they
by...
had a very young child, 2 months, 3 months. My child was already 2 years old.
I want to ask you 2 more questions before we close out, and then we're going to go to America. Did you know anything about... did any of the young men try to do business outside of the DP camp, like black market?
Oh, there were a lot of them doing that. Most of them were dealing on the black market in Munich.
Were they getting into trouble? Or were they making
that
money?
I don't know.
But
Probably some of them did. Probably, I hope not.
And one more
They
question.
they all asked us these questions before we came here. If we did some.
It's interesting. It's
we
interesting.
went through all that.
Well, some people talk about it on tape. They don't care,
They don't care. It's so many years later.
Too many years later.
Too many years later.
I just want to ask you about the doctor you were telling me about, the surgeon.
Yeah.
How well did you know that surgeon?
Well, in Sosnovitz I didn't know him. He was much older. He was already in
Dr. Leitner.
Dr. Leitner. He was already in medical school.
So he grew up in Sosnovitz.
Yeah, sure. And he married a girl from Sosnovitz.
And then you recognized him in Feldafing?
Right. He told us who he is, so we knew.
So he was the doctor for the camp.
He was the doctor for the camp, the official doctor, but he really wasn't. It was the German doctor. He was excellent, excellent. And he had a lot of knowledge from him, He learned a lot by him.
The German doctor learned from Leitner?
No,
Leitner learned from the
learned
German
from
doctor.
the German doctor. Because the
You
German
wouldn't have any pictures of Leitner?
No.
Okay. Okay, now let's go to America. You started the process of going to America when?
In 48.
And when were you actually on the boat?
49, June.
And you
I arrived in June.
you arrived in
We
June.
left Feldafing in April,
And-
they kept us in Bremenhaven by the boats, you know.
Right.
They kept us there a month or more, and by 10 days was traveling, you know, with the boat. We came into America 49, June 19.
Did you come with any money to this country or any things?
Maybe $50.
Okay. And where did you go to live immediately?
Immediately picked us up, my husband's a cousin, picked us up to his house,
What, New York, New Jersey,
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. And did you have a place to stay?
Then after a while, we got a place to stay. We stayed there about 12 days. And
When did you get your first apartment by yourselves?
our first apartment, and 49, by November. November I was already in my apartment.
And that would be in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
And what was the first business your husband did?
He didn't do anything. He didn't have no profession.
So how
he
did
started, the only thing he started is to get to something to do. So he met a guy at that time were no buses. It was trolleys going through Brooklyn. The subway and trolleys. So he went to New York to look for something. So when going home, he met a guy on the trolley, and he was asking the conductor which street he has to get off where we lived, you know. So the guy heard him speaking in a broken language, broken English, a little bit he knew. So he said, "You're Jewish?" My husband says, "Yeah. Come with me, I will show you how to get off. Which station I'm going the same direction. I tell you where you get off." And then meanwhile they were talking. He says, "I get you into a shop and you will learn something of tailoring." As he says, "Anything, because I don't know anything, you know." So he got him into a place and he worked as a tailor till 52. Then we opened our business.
And what business was that?
A manufacturer thing. Then we didn't go.
No good? Good?
No, I meant till 52. And what made him go into business? Because, you know, if you worked that time, he made maybe $25 a week,
Okay.
not more. So you had to, it just got me from Friday to Friday.
So
the money.
how
know.
did you know to start a manufacturing business?
That was okay. It was all right.
But how did you even know to start it? Did you have help?
Yeah, sure. Somebody helped him. This guy that he met on that train, an American Jew. It wasn't even in the tailoring business, but he helped my husband an awful lot. He became very friendly with us. That he asked us to come holidays to his house. Not the family, but this guy asked us, you know. And we met his family, and we were inviting him to our house. He became and he helped a lot, my husband. He helped an awful lot.
So you opened the manufacturing
Yeah.
business. Now, how long did you have that business?
Oh, till he retired.
Oh, so it was a good
Yeah.
business. Now, when did you start getting your friendships?
Let me tell you why he went to business. And how. Because the money just listed me, his pay, if he came home Friday with the pay, the $25, listed me maybe till Thursday. Friday, In those years, in 49, there were no supermarkets, only little groceries, the corner store.
Right.
There were no supermarkets. The only supermarkets was AMP, and Bohag. But there were like, everything was there. You couldn't buy anything Jewish. Everything was for Gentiles, you know. You couldn't get any kosher food there or anything. So there were little groceries on the corners, you know, from the streets or around the corner. And we were buying the groceries. So came one Friday, and because he was closed, he was religious, so he was closed Shabbos. I came down Friday and I didn't have the money, and I said, I took a little order, and I told him, as soon as my husband Saturday night comes with the pay, I'll be here Saturday night to give you the money. So he took the order from me, you come Saturday night. So I went home crying. My husband came home from work and I'm sitting and crying. I says, what are you crying? What happened? He says, he took the groceries out of my hand and didn't give it to me because I told him I'm going to pay him Saturday. Oh, he said, why are you so stupid? There's only one grocery here. There's a lot of groceries. What did you have to go and start with that idiot religious guy? Well, I started already with him, so I was buying there. He says, well, you're not going to cry anymore. This is the last time you cry for my pay. I'm going to do something that I shouldn't come home just a pay. That's it. He decided that time that he's going to go any business he could get into.
Now, so he did this for a couple of weeks. He started a business. What was your social life like?
At that time, we were still, first of all, the children were small.
So
2 years old, you know, my son was two in a few months. And
too busy.
Yeah, what we did is the buildings we lived in were people very friendly to each other. And most of the social life was in the street. At night, it was hot. Nobody could be in the houses. There's no fan, no air condition. So we were sitting half of the nights in the street.
Now, was there mostly survivors, or was it?
No, this was already American people.
When you first got here?
Right.
When did you reconnect with all the survivor friends?
Well, then we started going to places that they have gatherings, the survivors' gatherings.
How many? After you lived in the buildings, until your husband got settled financially, or let me ask the question: until you got settled financially, did you see survivors?
Yeah, my friends.
You saw them?
My friends, that they came. One came a month later, one came a month before us, and we were meeting. We were seeing each other on Sundays.
Oh, so on Sundays you saw...
Sure, I was seeing, we were traveling. One lived in the Bronx, one lived in Brooklyn, one lived in Manhattan. So we're traveling to each other.
So you were seeing survivors?
Sure.
So this is that core group from Feldafing?
Yeah, that I knew, yeah.
Did that group get bigger? Did you add to that group?
Not other people, but it got bigger for family size.
Would you, let's say, if you went to a survivor event, would your Feldafing group make a table at that event?
Yeah, we had a table, there were dances, there were...
So would you also go on vacation together?
On vacation together later on.
What year?
Like-
so
like,
so right after you came to America, they came to America, and you'd see
Yeah.
each other on Sundays.
We couldn't go yet on vacations.
At what point did you move from the apartment buildings?
I moved from the apartment building in 1959
And you moved into a
to
house?
a house.
And where was that?
That was also in Brooklyn.
Did anybody live in that neighborhood who
Yeah.
was friends
I
from?
was already there. I was already moving in. That my friends were living there already.
So these are survivor friends.
Yes.
So, while you were living in the apartment buildings, you saw your survivor friends on Sundays primarily, but you had, but it was so hot in those buildings. You were
During
hanging
the
out
week,
with anybody.
we were very friendly with the neighbors.
With anybody.
Yeah, very friendly.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. I just want to look something up. Okay. Thanks. So once you moved into a house, did this Feldafing group also move in the same neighborhood?
Same neighborhood. We were in the same neighborhood living.
This is 1959.
Mhm.
Did you
And then
start getting?
we all moved in here.
And then you all moved into
Mhm.
here, this
The whole
development.
group.
Now, what did you do in the summers? When did you, or rephrase the question. Did there come a time where you started to do things with the Feldafing group for the summers?
Yeah. We started going to Far Rockaway, which was 1955. We were renting in Far Rockaway for the summers, and we were renting on the beach.
So how many years did you do that?
We did that till 59, from
Okay.
55 to 59.
And then what did you do after that?
When we moved into our own homes, the children were a little bigger, and they wanted swimming pools, and so we had already functions in the house, in the backyard.
So did you
So
ever
they were coming, we were getting together with the children, barbecuing in the backyard, going on vacation only for like a week or 2 weeks,
during the summers?
Right.
So outside of Far Rockaway, you didn't go to the Catskills or someplace?
No, but later on, before retirement, before we got all together,
Yeah.
the whole group, and we bought a colony. in
Which
the
colony?
mountains. In Liberty. We were between Grossinger's and Brown's.
What was
Hotel.
it called?
Our colony, Green Acres.
Okay.
And we all had our homes ourselves.
And was this all people from
We
Feldafing?
bought the colony, no. It came in others as partners. We were only a few from Feldafing. And the others came in, and we bought that colony, and everybody was a partner into the colony. And then we had a few rentals, so we rented it out, every summer. We had wonderful times there.
How many years was this?
From 1980, and we sold it 205.
And were they all survivors?
Some from the tenants that were renting by us, were Americans. And they had a time of their life
Oh, that's
with
great.
us. It was beautiful. We had every Saturday night parties and music and entertainment. Then we had a guy that lived there in that town in Liberty, and he was providing entertainment to the hotels. after the entertainers were finished in the hotels, 12 o'clock at night, he brought them to us. And they were performing by us, free. We had great times there.
Now, since you had so many survivors, one survivor told me, you can't help it, but you always meet another survivor and you ask the question, where'd you come from? Where were you?
Sure.
Was that true?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's involuntary?
Involuntary. If you met somebody, you want to know from where are they, whether they are from my town maybe, and where were they. Maybe I don't recognize them anymore from the camps, you know. You can't recognize people after so many years, you know.
So you talk about it even
Talk
if
about
you...
it all the time. We talk about it all the time.
Even if you don't want to?
Even if we want. We don't want to, but somehow it gets into the conversation.
Do you
It's
even...
always
Do
been...
you talk about the fact that you don't want to talk about it, but you talk about it anyway?
Right. It's brought into any conversation we have. And it's brought in the camps and all that going through.
Now, did some people go to other did you stay in touch with anybody who went to Israel or another country?
No,
Or other family?
no. To Israel, yes, my family went to Israel. I was in touch with them constantly.
Now, a couple more questions. Societies. You started going to societies.
Yes, yeah.
And are survivors the people you trust the most? Or, let me put it different, the most comfortable with?
I am the most comfortable with survivors. Somehow we feel more attached. Somehow we feel more we have in common with.
So going to these societies, you walk in and there's almost anybody in the room you could talk to.
Yeah, sure.
Where are you from?
Anybody, I'm comfortable,
That's right.
very comfortable. And I live in the United States already for so many years, right? I came in 49, which is now 210. So I'm here what?
60 years.
Almost 60 years, right, almost 60 years. And I still am comfortable with the survivor.
Now, you have a son, so you have a bar mitzvah album.
Yeah.
Would a lot of the tables be survivors?
Mm-hmm. Most of them.
And would they be some from your town, some from the work camp, and some from Feldafing?
No, not from the work camp. No.
But it would be from Feldafing?
From Feldafing, only my close friends.
Feldafing is your close friends.
That's all.
They would be survivors you met since, from here?
From here, what I met here. Sure,
Yeah.
Sure. What my husband met, what I met, you know, sure, most of it survivors. And family.
So over the 60 years, your closest friends have been survivors.
That's right. Yeah, and they still are.
And
They still are.
okay. I'm gonna thank you for talking to me.
Thank you for
This
listening to me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is the end of the first part of the interview. If you have some pictures, I'll discuss it with you after I close this tape.
No pictures.